Faça trilhas e construa-se direito. 5, 4, 3, 2. Esse é o grande controle da minha região, tão grande que eu não sei.
Three Films and a Podcast has no claim of ownership on any film footage used in this episode. All film footage is owned in its entirety by the copyright holders and is used solely with the intent of film criticism, commentary, and education under fair use law. And just like every car in Too Fast, Too Furious, this podcast contains spoilers. Enjoy. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Three Films and a Podcast, the show where three friends challenge each other to broaden their cinematic horizons through a series of themed rounds. My name is Ben Lawhorn, and I am coming to you from Salt Lake City, Utah. I am joined as always by Tyler Beck in Portland, Oregon.
Hey, that's me.
And the Goblin King himself, Matt Weiler, down in Pleasant Grove.
Ben, Tyler.
Hello.
Thank you.
Hello. For those new to the show, let me be the first to welcome you to our movie club. What began as a club between us and this ever-growing group chat has evolved into this little community that we have started of movie lovers, and we are happy to have you all here. While we're on the topic, we would love to expand this community as always. So if you could share the podcast with your lovers and enemies and everyone, we would appreciate that. We're just trying to spread everything that we can. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you found us for this. Obviously, we're there. You can go to our website, threefilmspod.com. Everything is also there, including our merch and our Patreon. So yeah, we would just love the support. So you can help us out in any ways like that. Just like and subscribe and share a review, whatever you want to do would be appreciated. Today's episode, it's kind of an offshoot of our normal pod. We've done things such as we've done a handful of movie drafts. We've done a lot of those. We've done a couple recasts. One you just heard last week with Reservoir Dogs, which was a lot of fun as well.
You better have heard it last week. Like and subscribe.
Yeah,
have your notifications on.
Yeah. Go back and listen to that. Then come back here. And, also just like watch parties, which we haven't done in a while. We need to do another watch party. It's been a minute.
I feel like that's an after summer thing.
Yeah, there's just a lot going on in the summer. Yeah. It's difficult. So this is another little pod, and this is the first one of this kind where we invite our patrons on to come talk about a movie that they want to talk about. I'm very, very, very excited to introduce our special guest.
Very special.
Is my cousin. My favorite cousin, don't tell anybody. He is mine and Matt's Chocolate Sombrero band member from back in the day. He is the creator of our new theme song, which you just heard, which I am also extremely excited about.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And just an all-around awesome dude. I'd like to introduce my cousin, Greydon Benzmiller. Greydon, thanks for coming on.
What's up, guys?
There he is.
Going?
I'm genuinely so excited that you're here. I think this is going to be fun. This is... When we started talking about you coming on, this was like the first movie I thought about, and maybe I inceptioned you to talk about this. 'Cause I was like, I just think about this, like living in West Jordan, watching Labyrinth, specific scenes like the Magic Dance. So I'm glad that you're here to talk about it. Before we get into it, do you want to tell people, I guess, about yourself? About the band behind our theme song and where they can find you guys?
Sure. Well. Big time fan. I've been writing songs about you guys, as I guess you found out. So,
thank you, Greydon.
You can come up with the lyrics, of course. I've known you for the last 4 or 5 years, Ben, maybe.
Pretty close.
It's been great being cousins.
Mm-hmm.
And,
I've enjoyed it.
Overall positive experience.
Yeah.
All jokes aside.
Had its ups and downs. Yeah.
It's good. And it's just the song that I made, it's under the band name Umbels. It's like some music I've been making for maybe too long now, I'm not sure, but it's coming into the final stages where it actually has a theme, and I have a vision for it, compared to not to harp on it. But it's been a long journey from like Chocolate Sombreros, playing on a couch in the street, playing Linkin Park songs to this.
Wait. So who was Chester? Who was the singer? Who sang the Linkin Park songs?
That was
more of a
accordion,
feeling.
I think.
Yeah, it's more. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like
I gotcha.
Little Linkin Park, little Ataris.
Yeah.
I had my pearl light blue drum set.
It was a really good band. It was a really good band.
You missed out.
Way ahead of its time.
I can imagine. I mean, at least you guys had a band. Like, I never played any instruments until I was like late into my 20s. And so like there was times where like we would be like lip syncing and dancing around to music videos and stuff, but we never actually like got up to play them ourselves. So kudos to you, gentlemen. I'm jealous.
I love it. We did one show that will go down in infamy. Honestly, it was kind of a precursor to our first Devilhawk show.
Nice.
For us,
Oh, I like that.
We got, I don't know how, but somehow we got permission. Like, there's no way they asked us to, but we were like, hey, we want to play some songs at the church Christmas party. And they're like, all right, whatever. Like they can do that. Fine.
They probably thought you were just going to play like Jingle Bells and Silent Night.
Yeah,
like,
play some hymns. Yeah.
They were horribly wrong.
We played White Stripes.
So
we played White Stripes, but we didn't say the word hell. So kudos to us.
Yeah. You're in God's house. Thank you.
But we started, must have been like our second song. I don't know what happened exactly, but I just know Matt was feeling the spirit and jumped up.
Took a leap of faith.
Yeah. And the chord for his guitar just like yanked out and just broke, and we were just done.
That was really kind of the end of the band, actually.
Yeah, we were Icarus. We were flying too close to the sun. Like we're done here. It's not going to.
It was over after that.
That's what you get for blaspheming in the church.
Exactly. Yeah.
So wait. Matt,
God had other plans.
Matt, you played guitar?
Yeah, I attempted.
Oh, and Greydon played bass. I gotcha. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
And then our other fan, I don't know if Cameron was there or not, but
not
he would
for
be there,
that one.
Not for that one.
Cameron, if you're listening, please like and subscribe. We're sorry we didn't have you on.
Please. Beast, what's up?
Beast.
I miss you.
Beast, do a kickflip.
And yeah, the other side of that, I may have told you, Matt, I don't know if I told you or not, but we were playing our first Devilhawk show, like promoting it forever, just trying to get all of our friends and coworkers out there and everything. But we come out on stage, everyone's hyped. I literally peed in the green room plant because I was so nervous. Like, I was freaking out. I was so scared about this. Like, and I have the shyest bladder in the world. It's like, I have to go right now. We get out there, lights are about to come on, lights kick on, and it's starting out with this like just like thumping bass line from Buzz.
Only bass.
We got like boom, just one, and then all of a sudden it was just stopped.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, I think it might have been the only battery powered bass in the entire world.
Yeah.
And the battery just died right at the beginning of our show. So then we had to like, I don't know what happened. If someone ran to the studio and got
someone
us
at the venue
battery.
had a battery or something, and they brought it up. I didn't even know that there was a battery in there. That was a bass that my friend Corey had given me. I didn't even know how it worked. I learned to play it for that band. Like, as we learned those songs, that's how I learned to play bass. And I've only ever played like acoustic guitar up until that point. And so like an electric instrument was like, it made no sense to me. I just like turned all the knobs all the way up, which works for a Misfits band. But
yes, it's perfect for that.
And so
I can just picture like Tyler picking up an electric instrument and be like, oh,
what is this?
I mean, I was into it. I just had no experience with it. And so we jump on stage, and like, Ben, you were super nervous. I remember. And
so nervous.
Couldn't have possibly cared less. Not that I wasn't gonna like give it my best or whatever, but I just was like, it's just our friends, you know? And I'm glad it was me, because it was London Dungeon, which is just like a 30-second bass intro. And we got one note, and then it died.
Honestly,
funny side note, London Dungeon was the alternative to the Labyrinth.
What?
With Bowie. Yeah.
That's one hell of a tie-in. Wow.
Full fucking
unplanned.
Circle. I love it. No idea.
This actually was planned.
We
planned that. Yeah. No.
Oh yeah.
Those active
after
pickups,
that, the nerves went away though, thankfully, and we were able to go on with the show.
Yes, we were.
Speaking of, look at that segue. Let's go on with the show here.
Professional.
Yeah, as we've mentioned before, we like to think of this podcast as a movie club. And so obviously coming on as a guest, you are a full-fledged member of the movie club. But in order to get into the clubhouse, there are 3 questions that we like to ask everybody on their first time on the show. It kind of helps us to get to know you a little better. Our listeners get to know you a little better as well as we go into this conversation, kind of understand your taste and everything. With that in mind, I'm going to jump into my question. My question is, you are on a deserted island. You have a TV. You have a 42-inch flat screen.
Whoa.
A nice Blu-ray player, a nice sound bar. You got everything you need, and you've been granted the wish of the filmography from one person, either an actor or a director. I want to know, whose filmography are you taking with you on this island?
And I'm alone, right? I'm not taking alone. An actor or a director with me.
You don't get to take them with you. No, it's just their filmography.
Unless the
holding them hostage.
It's a special feature.
Actually, we should add that asterisk to the question. Like, you could take them, but you can't take their filmography if you take them. So.
Oh man, then I have lots of different answers. I would probably, if I'm all alone, I mean, I don't know, that's rough. That changes things. I've just imagined myself sitting there with someone. If I'm alone watching the entire filmography, I'd probably still just go with Bill Murray and pretend that he's there with me anyways.
Yeah.
Not bad, Mr. Connors. You say this is your first lesson?
Yes, but my father was a piano mover, so.
If that includes SNL and all the goods.
It's everything.
Yeah, you get a lot of great stuff with that. Bill, that's a great pick.
You get a very Merry Christmas.
You can just be living a literal Groundhog Day on your island, so you can just watch that.
You get Garfield.
Just torture myself.
Garfield, yes. No, I think that's awesome.
Osmosis Jones.
Yeah, all of it.
Space Jam? Did someone say Space Jam already?
No. But yeah, that's the
What's the one where they like live inside his body and he has this disgusting zit that
that's
pops?
Osmosis Jones.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then the highbrow stuff like Wes Anderson, which is pretty fun as well. Like that's a great answer. I love it. We talk about it almost every time, but I love hearing people's answer because we've rarely had a repeat. I think we've had like one repeat before, and this is the first Bill Murray, and that's a great pick. Especially like if you're on an island and you want some, something kind of fun and whatever. But if you're in the mood for something serious, you throw on, Lost in Translation or whatever, and just crank up the volume and try to figure out what he whispers, throw on those subtitles.
What's
exactly.
What's the one where I don't know. I'll look it up and you guys can keep talking, but he plays like a guy that does stuff. I don't know. I can't think of how to describe it.
How you said just watch it over and over. I think besides Labyrinth, which I have certainly watched more than any other movie, I always go back to Royal Tenenbaums too. I've watched it so many times. It is funny, but it's not funny how many times I've watched.
I think it's my favorite Wes Anderson. I love that movie. Like, it's so good. I love Royal Tenenbaums.
For my money, I think I go Life Aquatic, which ties in because David Bowie has such a large presence through Sue George in that, which I'm sure we'll talk about later.
Another full circle.
St. Vincent was the movie I was thinking of. That's a kind of an underrated Bill Murray that I love. It's got a cool when he sings Bob Dylan at the end, listening to I think he sings Tangled Up in Blue or something at the end, listening to his headphones. Man. I just love that movie and that scene.
Not a word was spoke between us. There was a little risk involved. Everything up to that point has been left unresolved. Try imagining a place where it's always safe and warm. Come in, she said, I'll give you shelter from the storm.
There's just, I guess I'm sure you guys are used to it. When you just go off on the path, you just get all these other ways you can go. And have you guys seen Broken Flowers?
I have actually. Yeah.
I have not.
I haven't seen it.
I saw it once a long time ago, but I know I did see it.
It's good, weird, indie, Bill Murray, and it's a good one. I recommend it.
And I want to give a quick shout out, longtime friend of the pod, Joshua Johnston, Coffee and Cigarettes. He's the one that told me about that movie and had me watch it. I think it's also a great one that you get with the Bill Murray here. So
The Wu-Tang Clan.
Right, Wu-Tang Clan.
You're Jizza, the genius.
That's right.
And you're RZA,
AKA.
Bobby Digital.
Yeah, you know it's hip-hop, yo. You know it's hip-hop.
And you're Bill Murray. Bill Groundhog Day Ghost Busting Ass Murray.
Who you gonna call?
I know that. Just don't tell anybody, man.
Man, that's a really great selection. I don't know how I even talked about like Ghostbusters or what about Bob. Like there are so many.
Zombieland, dude. He's in.
And as far as like movies that I've discovered recently, Little Shop of Horrors. I don't know if any of you guys have seen that, but his performance in that is so good. He's like the really crazed dental dude who just loves the pain of dentistry for some reason. So he and Steve Martin have these scenes together,
Right.
and I don't know. That's a wonderful selection. I love it.
Yeah,
Bill Murray's great.
Well done. Love it. So I just went and saw Black Widow in the theaters on opening day, which that sounds like most of everyone here did. I don't know if you saw it opening day, Greydon, or if you've seen it at all. That's not really the point. At the end of the movie, right, so the after credits stinger, for some reason, a woman just like burst out sobbing in the after credits stinger. Like uncontrolled, like people were like turning and looking. And I went with Ethan from 15 Minute Marvel, so he can attest to this. But she just was like sitting kind of like by herself. Like the theater was relatively full, but she had this weird pocket of space around her. And she was like fully masked and just like sobbing uncontrollably. And I'm like, we know that she dies. You know what I mean? Like, I was just like, I couldn't figure, and it was, I don't know, it was really strange. And I was starting to get kind of worried about her. But then when it ended and everyone stood up, I looked over and she was fine. She was just walking out of the theater and not crying. But it was like, it was really weird, which leads me to, I love that sort of stuff. That's like why, for me personally, like all that weirdness and just like the other people and the vibe and the energy in a theater is why I still love to go to theaters. And it's one of the reasons I like movies so much, because it can bring so many different people together. And not only did I experience a good movie, but I had this like weird little experience, and I'll always remember that, right? It's the first time I met Ethan in person, and it was a great movie with a weird ending. Not the movie weird, but the woman having a strange moment. So, Greydon, my
woman,
question
whoever
to
you are, like and subscribe.
Yeah,
Like and subscribe.
I hope you're okay.
Please explain.
Like, I thought she might need to be checked on, but she seemed fine when it was all said and done. So,
also, I mean, I want to let you ask your question, but I'm just thinking about this woman who didn't see Endgame. And somehow in between the credits, like Black Widow's like, hey, I'll see you guys later. And then we go to the end credits sting. It's like, that would be such a shock. Wait, what? It's like,
maybe
what is that woman going through right now if she didn't know this?
Yeah,
That's
I don't,
crazy.
maybe she's going through the timeline in like timeline order, starting after
the last
everything
thing she
was
saw
over.
was Civil War. So
yeah, so she's just like,
she's like, I'm waiting for Black Widow. Yeah.
Another side rail. I did wonder how they're gonna like fit some of this stuff together with a callback like that in Black Widow. Like, how would you play that in timeline order? I guess you'd have to watch it after Civil War. But anyways,
yeah,
I digress. So my question to you, Greydon, is what favorite movie experiences can you think of? They don't have to be like in the theater or weird like that, but just some memorable experiences watching movies. I'd love to hear about it.
I don't know. It's so many just like come rushing to me all at once for whatever reason. Probably I think about going to see Star Wars Episode 1 when it came out in theaters.
Now this is pod racing.
Nice.
And like the whole thing around the Taco Bell like pogs that you could collect and all that stuff. I was so into that.
Oh my god.
So into that. So many Mace Windows. And just being stoked, dude, like leaving the theater and literally ripping around the straw, like the paper around my straw, so that I had like a little Darth Maul. Just so stoked. Just so stoked about it.
That's amazing.
I don't know. It's so I've had weird memorable situations, like, or good memorable situations that I've seen like some movies in like other countries, or just I think just seeing movies in not your hometown is always kind of memorable. Like, yes, I've seen a couple in like other countries, but even Matt, when we went and saw Hellboy in Moab, I remember that because it was just like this tiny dinky theater, like one screen maybe, and it was just kind of, I don't know if it was impromptu or it wasn't planned. Let's go to Moab and let's watch a movie. But you know, just like stuff like that, so like impromptu, and that's always memorable to me.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's right. Now I'm just picturing you planning a trip to Moab, driving past 2 national parks, a few state parks, and landing at a little theater to watch Hellboy, of all movies.
I got the theater to myself.
Love
it. Hellboy 2.
That's right.
Ron Perlman. Let's go to Moab.
Yeah. No shots to
Let's go
Hellboy
watch the new Guillermo del Toro movie.
Hellboy's awesome. And Hellboy 2, I think that's another one where his sequel is better than the original. But it's funny you mentioned Moab, because like, Tyler and I were in California for work, and we went to this like kind of cool dome cinema theater when Age of Ultron came out.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously I have my thoughts on the movie. I'm pretty pro on Ultron, but just that experience of just like being in California and going to this different movie. And like, I remember Avengers came out while we were in Kenya. We were like going to go see it just like in like Dubai on the way back. It's like, we have to see this. This is the biggest thing.
Right.
But
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was such a buildup. But Greydon, you and Matt were actually part of like one of my, like, it's memorable in the sense that you guys proved me wrong, because you guys wanted to go see Anchorman, and I had zero interest in that movie at all, which to this day I still don't know why. Like, I just thought it was going to be the dumbest thing in the world.
I wasn't into it either.
But you guys wanted me to take you to the theater, and I said I only would if you paid for my ticket, because I did not want to see that movie. And then I left, and I was like, that was so fucking good. That was such a funny movie. I don't know why I was like so just like out on it. I was like, that's not gonna be good at all. But yeah.
So I borrowed $8 from you, bought your ticket.
How did we pay for his ticket?
That's what I'm trying to think of now. Yeah, it's like
I cash in on all those Star Wars pops.
No, that's awesome. I remember seeing Hellboy in Moab, and similar thing. Like, I think Kevin Smith, when the latest Star Wars came out, he like was on tour, and so he had to go to like some small town to go see Star Wars. He was just talking about how awesome it was, just like being in a community and seeing movies the way that community sees movies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's because that movie theater in Moab, like that's their only theater. So like that's their only way to see cool stuff. And so it was way cool to experience that. My question, we've done rounds where we call them unsung gems, basically where we cover movies that we feel are very underappreciated or that many people don't know about. So maybe people don't know about them, or we feel like people just don't like them, but we love them. Sure. And so what would you say is your biggest unsung gem?
There's only really one that comes to mind. That's Eagle vs. Shark by Taika Waititi.
Yeah, that's a great one.
You sucker. You better watch out, you fool. Yeah, hey, fool. Hey, fool. Sucker. You foolish sucker. Bit of what?
Hello?
Hello, is Eric there, please?
Speaking.
Hey, sucker.
Who is this?
This is the Piper, and I want to be paid.
So good.
So good. I remember when I first saw it, not to get too familial over here, but when I was living with you in the Avenues, and it was just randomly on TV, and a song came on from a musician I liked, Devendra Banhart, and so I immediately got sucked in, and I was just hooked. And then I watched it, and then after that, actually, I took a trip to Turkey, and it's a weird. The people that I met there, they loved the movie, and it just come out, and they gave me a copy of it, and I've just watched it so many times, and watched it with other people, and just been like, before Taika was doing Thor and doing, all of what he's doing now. This is like basically his first movie. Yeah. And it just like paves the way for his unique style and like dark but light all at the same time, and it's just perfect. I've watched it I don't even know how many times. Not as much as Labyrinth, but a lot.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I love that movie. Yeah, I think that was like his first one. You know, I think when people talk about Taika, understandably they kind of start with like What We Do in the Shadows. Because I think that was kind of his first big hit. But
Sure.
yeah, having Eagle versus Shark and then doing Boy, which is like, that was the last one I saw. It took me a while to get around to it, but that's another great movie. But Eagle versus Shark, like, just, I don't know, that movie's so good. Like, that's a great selection. Like, that's one that I would tell people when they love Taika. It's like, well, if you haven't seen this one yet, go back and see it. Like, it's worth checking out if you like his stuff.
That's one I need to see.
Yeah, for sure.
It's really good. Yeah.
It's so good.
That should have been your answer to both of ours. Seeing that, like running into those people and getting that movie from random people in Turkey, and it being your unsung gem.
I retract.
Yeah,
I retract.
I appreciate that.
Just
We'll
cut
edit
the
it
clip
all.
just all together.
No, I like.
Don't
the
Don't
Star
bring up
Wars
Moab
one.
and Hellboy.
And actually,
Cut that.
we can go full circle even a little bit more. I saw Star Wars Episode 1 when it came out with my dad. We were on a hunting trip. And we were in some small town somewhere in central Utah. I don't remember what it was. And I remember the theater was kind of like what you said in Moab, just had one screen. It was a really cool old brick building. You could tell it was like an old like playhouse or something. And I remember like they had columns on the outside of the building, and there was like posters in between those columns going like into the theater. And I just remember it was like really a really cool setting in this really cool small little town. So I can tie that into your, small movie experience or small theater experience. Star Wars being your favorite movie experience. Yeah.
Were you hunting for the wilder people?
We were not. We were. I don't remember.
No?
I think it was
All right.
actually a fishing trip. Now that I think about it, but
Fair enough. I was seeing if we could Taika in there again. But has there ever? We don't usually really get into this discussion, but has there ever been a movie more anticipated than Episode 1? Like, I can't. Like,
Probably
Endgame
not.
may have matched that, but that was a culmination of 22 other movies. This was like, oh, we're finally getting back into it. Like, I don't know. If,
I don't think so. Especially
I
the
don't think
marketing
so.
push too.
Yeah,
The
The
just
marketing
like,
was
yeah.
insane.
That's what made me think of it, because like when Tyler's like, oh, we're in a small town, and even they had like banners and shit. Like I
Yeah.
feel like every theater ever was like, we will have Episode 1, come here. Like it was just such a big movie, such a big push to see that. But prequels not as bad as people think. Thank you, Arzu from Geeky Waffle, for informing us, educating us. I appreciate that. Also, thank you, Greydon, for answering the questions. Loved all those answers. I feel like I just knew that I would, but yeah, I think all those answers are awesome. But yeah, I want to get into Labyrinth now. I kind of talked about it already, that my background is really through you. I think, like, I don't know that I ever saw it before watching it with you guys at your house. I'm pretty sure that was the first time. And then, yeah, there is just something about like the catchiness of Magic Dance, it's just like, I don't know. It's like if there's one song in any movie ever that I would just like, the original song, like that's I don't know. I love that one so much. It's so good.
You remind me of the babe. Babe with the power. Power of voodoo. You do. Remind me of the babe.
But yeah, that was kind of my experience with it. I've watched it a few times, like probably a handful of times since then. And there's a lot that I love about it. Like I love Jim Henson and all the practical effects and all that kind of stuff. Like it's, we'll talk about, how kind of weird it is and creepy it is. But as far as like actual production value, like it's amazing. This was done in 86. Like there's some bad green screen here and there, but overall good movie, great Bowie performance. I think like it's wooden, but I think it's kind of supposed to be, and I think a lot of that's just like the overdub, with his recording. But I kind of want to know, like, great, like, do you remember where you first saw it? Like, what's your experience with the movie? And for the people who don't know about the movie, like, do you want to kind of give them a synopsis on what the Labyrinth is all about?
Yeah, I can. Synopsis first, I think, then maybe.
Let's do it.
In my own words, I don't.
Yeah,
I might butcher it. Okay, well, the movie takes place with Jennifer Connelly just going home, being upset that she has to babysit, hating that she has to do that, wishes to some other realm that the Goblin King would take her baby away. Little does she know, he apparently exists, and he does show up in the form of David Bowie and his bulge, and takes
all of its
the
glory.
baby, all of its glory, takes the baby away, and basically gives her, I think it's 12 hours to get to the heart of the labyrinth, in which case she can save her little brother.
Yeah.
It's 12 hours, but isn't there 13 hours on the clock?
I think it's 13 because there's 13 on the clock. So he gives her 13 hours to do it. But yeah, I had forgotten about the beginning premise of it. She's like, I wish they would take him away. It's like, all right, I will. Oh, I was kidding. I want him back. It's like, all right, well then solve my labyrinth. You can have him back. It's like, what is the exchange? This is so weird. Like,
he doesn't want her
to turn into a goblin. Is that what it is?
He doesn't want her to come after him. He goes, forget about the baby. He
Yes,
doesn't want that. He doesn't want her to come.
Oh,
And then it gets into like some weird, almost like pedophilia stuff. Like she's 13 years old or something. Like this like romantic ball. Like, I don't know, but that's kind of nuts. I had forgotten the whole premise of it, like why she was even there. So that was interesting to revisit the plot behind this.
When was the first time you saw Labyrinth, Greydon?
Talking about weird movie memories, this I had to save because this is a weird movie memory. I have the strangest memory from being really young, like 7 or 8. So 1997 or so, I woke up in the middle of the night. I left my room and I walked out to our family room, and it was playing on Disney Channel. And my mom is watching it with my little sister, who's even younger than me. I walk out to the scene with the orange guys jumping around, ripping off their body parts. And I was so terrified. I was like, I was struck. I was like, what is going on? And it scared me to death. It scared me out of the living room. I went back to bed, and it haunted me for like a long time.
For sure.
I'm sure it did.
I don't know how long, because shortly after I remember finally watching it and then just getting hooked. And then every weekend going to Blockbuster, renting it over and over and over, and just like falling in love with it at a pretty young age.
Awesome.
But initially terrified, just terrified, and still kind of terrifying, right? Like when I still watch it, I just see new monsters and I'm like, oh my goodness. Jim Henson, you outdid yourself. Like, goodness.
I enjoy the idea that your mom was like, Jade can handle this. She's 2 years younger, but let's not bring Greydon out here. Yeah, this might be a little too scary for him. But
she made, I mean, I don't know, back in the day when all you had was whatever was on TV, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, flip the channel. It's Disney. It's Disney, so
just nuts.
How dark can it be?
Apparently pretty dark.
Yeah. What about you, Matt? What was your first experience with this?
Oh, man. Well, I'm going to have to, I guess, give a little bit of background to this. So, I mean, middle school, I guess I should point out that Greydon and I went through musical puberty together. We did. I'm just going to put it out there. I'm going to be very candid about it here.
Yeah.
True.
And actual puberty.
Yeah.
Greydon several years before I did. But anyway, Greydon got on Bowie early. And usually you have friends that, bring like porn or weed to school. But Greydon had Bowie in his locker, and so we'd go and we'd listen to Bowie. He'd have it on I don't know. We didn't even have iPods yet. But
not yet.
Yeah. Greydon brought on the Bowie. And
Nice.
Similarly, in the time that we were in middle school, it seemed like the cultured kids were kind of revisiting some of these 80s classics. And so we were frequenting like Neverending Story, Labyrinth, Dark Crystal, these like Jim Henson collaborations with Disney or other studios. And Greydon was the Labyrinth guy. And so we watched that a million times because we just hung out all the time. And so Greydon brought Labyrinth to me. But so I mean, we were just, middle schoolers while other people are watching cool movies like Armageddon and Fast and the Furious. We were, in our corner watching the Labyrinth. And
Nice.
It helped us against, the jocks and the bullies of the time.
That's awesome.
I love that.
What about you, Fuzz?
So, I mean, I've always been a fan of Bowie, but I never like got into him. You know what I mean? Like I never got obsessed. Not to say that you guys were obsessed with Bowie, but like I just never. I mean, I always really liked him, but never really got into it. And similar with his movies, and specifically like Labyrinth and other Jim Henson stuff like Dark Crystal. I mean, I used to watch Fraggle Rock, and I used to watch the Muppets and Sesame Street and all those sorts of things. But like, they didn't really hook me. I was more drawn to like the Batman cartoons, X-Men cartoons, Ninja Turtles, like that sort of stuff. So like, I haven't seen this movie in at least 20 years. I mean, probably more. I honestly can't remember the last time I saw this movie. The only real things I remembered from it was the fact that David Bowie existed and that there's a Muppet that pees in it. That's like all I could remember. And so watching it again, like, it was really fun to watch. And like, obviously I was struck by like the creativity and like the execution of that creativity. Like, there's a specific moment that I'm thinking of where Hoggle is standing next to Jennifer Connelly or whatever. What's her name in this? What's her name in the movie?
Sarah.
I swear I do this every episode. But they're standing together. They're talking to a third person. And like Hoggle does some like really incredible face acting, which is, he's a puppet, but like the expression on his face and the way he, like the movements of it, it's just really incredible. And, obviously Jim Henson is, the guy for puppetry, but and I can definitely see like why people had such a strong connection with it. Like if you grew up with it, right? Like it's definitely something where, if it got its hooks in you when you're younger, it's going to carry through as you grow up. And like, you can sort of see past like some of like the weaknesses, like we said, some of the bad CG and like the troubling aspects of the storyline and things like that. So for me, I didn't have like a very strong connection with it, but I can see why people did, and why the people that did, why it's like such like a strong connection, I guess, and such a cult classic, I guess you could say. And even like, I guess I'll just get this out of the way now. I don't even really love the music that much. I love the Magic Dance song. I know this is blasphemy, but I have to speak my truth. No, like the Magic Dance song is great, and I love the idea of all the songs more than I actually like the music. Like I think what's the song where they're dancing in the cave with the monsters that scared you when you were a kid?
Oh yeah, Chili Down.
Okay. Like I love like the tone of the song and like the atmosphere of the scene and everything, but like I don't know that I want to listen to that song by itself. You know what I mean? So like I feel like that's my whole experience with Labyrinth is like I get it, but it doesn't really connect with me. You know what I mean? And I certainly like it, but it's not going to be one that like I watch over and over and over again. But if it had got its hooks in when I was younger, it probably would. Like my sister was more into that stuff. And like I said, I was more into like the comic book cartoons.
We should have had your sister on.
Yeah, right? Yeah, we should.
Too late.
Yeah, no, we can't call her. She's a busy person, so. But I mean, that's not to say that I don't like the movie. It's just, I feel like a lot of the people that really love it really grew up with it, and I just didn't. You know what I mean? Sure. So for me, a lot of the downfalls stand out more.
And you're not wrong. I think really, I think it is fits the definition of a cult classic. Like apparently when it came out in the box office, it just tanked. It just no one.
Oh, really?
It just didn't do well on sales. And then after time, it's just become this thing where, if I can look it up and I can buy t-shirts and face masks and the vinyl and all this stuff that's just developed after.
Like I almost feel kind of like what I said, like I like the idea of the music and everything more than I actually like the execution of it. I feel like to me that represents the movie as a whole. I feel like, and I don't know, maybe I shouldn't even say this, people like the idea of liking a movie like The Labyrinth more than they actually like it sometimes. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? Like
sometimes.
Like not everyone. I'm not
not
saying
this time.
I'm not saying you guys do, but there's certainly people that like that might gravitate towards it's other people that like cool stuff like The Labyrinth, so I must like it too. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I
totally.
don't know. And maybe I'm speaking out of turn here, but that's just kind of like the vibe I get from it, and just knowing different people throughout my life that.
So Tyler, you liked nothing. Cha-la-la. I have no idea why he threw that in there. Nothing? Cha-la-la?
Cha-la-la?
I don't even remember that. I just watched it. I don't remember that.
What have we here?
Nothing.
Nothing? Nothing, tra-la-la?
Your Majesty.
Oh, it's really quick. It's like right before, I think it's right before the big spinny thing comes after them in the hallway when he throws like the crystal ball down there. It's easy to miss.
Weird. Okay. Yeah.
But
you would have you wouldn't have liked it, Tyler. You wouldn't have liked it.
Yeah,
apparently not. But that's the thing.
You just gotta watch it like 50 more times.
But all that, like, I did like the weirdness of it and the quirkiness of it, but it's just like I like the idea of all of that and like the fact that they did it more than I like how it was presented to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And I think like my love for Magic Dance probably just clouds my judgment because the rest of the songs are fine, but they're not like memorable or just like, it's whatever. Like Magic Dance like really sticks out to me.
That song is still stuck in my head right now. That song's incredible. I love that song in that whole moment. But just like, I don't know. I love David Bowie. Like any song I've ever heard of his, not that I know his whole discography. I like everything I've ever heard, I guess, except for some of the stuff in the Labyrinth. But
no, for sure. Yeah, we've all seen your big Aladdin Sane back piece tattoo that you have. So your commitment to David Bowie is not under question.
That's a Patreon extra. Patron extra.
That's an
so
extra that you have to pay
Greydon
for.
Saw it, but